Yes, please do. I'd love to know what you would love to understand more or get out of when you saw the title that Cheryl had put on. Great title, by the way, great sort of prerequisite. What would you love to know more about or to walk away with today? You put it in the chat, you can talk to me, whatever is helpful.
Oh, Yvonne, go for it. Come on.
Talk to me.
Oh, sorry. I was just answering a message then.
So we got all distractions off so that you can get the most out of it. What do you want to, what interested you, or do you want to actually walk away with today? I've got loads of things to say actually, but I want to kind of hear from you all first.
Yeah, I mean, my business is sort of health and well-being, and also I do lots of goal mapping with people, but and I do a lot of lives as part of my Forever Living business. And I just want to really make sure that I have as much energy and passion in my voice as I do sort of in my head about the products, because I think sometimes I do have a resting, miserable face, which doesn't help. But I just think, you know, sometimes we have passion in our heads and in our hearts, but it doesn't always come out in our voice. So it's how to get a bit more energized, I think.
We'll go through that. That's absolutely brilliant. That's a great specific ask, Yvonne, and I love that. Thank you. Anybody else? Let me just, because I can get to hear all your voices at the same time, and then I'll kind of explain why I'm listening to you as well.
Well,
go for it, Lucy.
I'm coming with no particular, I just want to learn because yeah, you know, I've never sort of covered this sort of area, so I'm just fascinating to hear what you have to say.
What's your business, Lucy? What you
doing? My business is I sell a kitchen appliance called a Thermomix. A lot of it is online, social media, lives. I do cooking classes, I do cooking demonstrations. I did my first on stage sort of microphone and big screens in Oystermouth Food Festival a few weeks ago. So that sort of thing. So a lot of talking.
And how do you feel about that? What would you like to improve about that, if anything?
I don't know. It's really just to get advice from you. You know, when I have feedback, you know, most people give positive feedback, don't they? Sorry, hang on. And you know, I have a lot of mums who go, their children listen to me when they're going to sleep. They find my voice sort of like comforting, which is very nice. When I hear my voice, you know, I cringe. You know, I think I sound quite manly, and you know, I think I've got quite a low voice, but yeah, you know, it's
okay. Well, everybody, just to say this to start with, everybody has an optimum speaking pitch where their voice actually resonates at its best possible place, and nobody ever speaks in their optimum pitch. We've all developed vocal habits, we've all developed a whole bunch of habits over the years, and when we've got chance, I'll do a little hot seat. I'll pick somebody to do a little hot seat, and we'll do a little work on their physical voice, and you'll be able to hear the difference with a more optimized pitch as we go through. Would that be of interest to anybody to kind of watch and gawp? You know, that kind of thing would be great, wouldn't it? We love that, watch and gawp. Okay, so who else? Let me hear from you. Or put it in the chat. Oh, I've got the chat. I've suddenly got the chat. I don't like hearing my voice, Beth. I don't like hearing my voice in recordings, so I don't do videos as much as I might. What about your voice do you not like? Just pop it in the chat. Like, what do you hear in your voice, and why is that a point of struggle for you, or at that point where you just haven't been able to transcend that? Just, I'd love to hear it from your perspective, Heather. How to project?
Sounds a bit shrill. It sounds a bit shrill to me.
Cool. Okay. We'll discuss shrill voices very shortly and what to do. How to project my voice. And I also don't like my voice recorded. So we've got a theme going on about not liking our voice when we're recorded. Tipped on public speaking, can you give me, Oksana, can you give me some context? Because public speaking can cover now everything from podcasting to videos to massive conference speaking to a 10-minute networking talk. Can you give me something specific to go on where you think you'd like to do some public speaking, but maybe haven't done it yet? That would be helpful.
Well, all of it, actually. All of it. And I've done some workshops where, you know, I have been speaking, I really enjoyed them. But I think going back to even Bess's point, you know, about my voice, I've got a bit of an accent, and that used to be, you know, I mean, I'm kind of getting used to it, and hearing my voice, I'm getting used to that as well. And I think it's practice. It's practicing and, you know, just getting used to hearing it, because even when we see ourselves, I think just seeing yourself on the video, you know, is kind of can be an issue as well. And when you see yourself and you speak as well, you know, just get so self-critical. But in terms of public speaking, I want to do more of it, and just getting confidence basically in public speaking, you know, in terms of preparation and using your voice to really being able to influence the audience, you know, and how to do that. Like I said, for me, I'm getting a lot better at it now because I have had some experience in public speaking. But of course, there's still this awareness about, you know, if I get quite nervous, because English is not even my first language, sometimes I get into this territory of just things just don't work, as the brain kind of stops wiring.
Well, you're, as a non-native speaker as well, doing a foreign language, there is an additional thing when the brain speeds up in sort of somatic nerves, as it were. So we'll talk about somatic nerves.
Amazing, thank you.
Because to cover the whole public speaking, that would be fairly impossible to cover that in the session that we're in. I literally just took on a client yesterday who, and that's a, you know, that's a 6-week process to him to do a voice and put his talk together. And if I'm doing a whole personal branding message for somebody around their whole speaking sort of profile as a speaker, then that can be a whole kind of 6-month journey, depending on what we do and how we market somebody. So I'll give you what I can do based on what I can feel are the most immediate things that are going to make a difference to you, if that makes sense. If we can do things that make a difference to you right now, that would, otherwise we're kind of like, where do we stop on that piece of string, isn't it? It could go on forever.
Yeah.
So brilliant. So Steffi said, I missed the first 3 minutes. You didn't miss much, you're all right. So have no clue what you are talking about right now. What's the question, please? The question is, Steffi, stay with us, it's absolutely fine. I love the honesty of that. I love it. I'm like, what the heck is going on? So I just said, before I dive in, I wanted to just hear from all of you around this topic of vocal confidence, speaking, lives, anything around that, anything that you know you want to get out of the session today. Like, for instance, Oksana's now, I've got a more specific question. It's like, what do I do as a non-native speaker with nerves? I am getting better, but is there something practical I can do? So if there's something quite specific, or if you're just open to it, or you've got topics in there, if you throw it in the chat or just speak to me around what you'd love to, like, if you think to yourself, my God, that was worth sitting there until 12 o'clock. What would that was a brilliant session. What would that be? Steffi, tone of voice and losing my voice during speaking. Oh, tell me about that. Tell me about losing your voice.
I've got a very masculine voice. I never had a female feminine voice like all the other girls in my school, for example. When they spoke, they all had these sweet little voices, and on the phone as well. And my voice is always deep. Always. I just can't do anything about it. It's just constantly deep. And I've noticed, because I go to public speaking events in Bristol regularly, and I'm confident speaking, but what I noticed like 2-3 minutes in is that my voice goes really croaky, and I literally have to go like that all the time, but it doesn't come back.
No, so you've got there's quite a few different things going on potentially there. I would like to do a little bit of a hot seat on your voice, Steffi. Is that okay? Because I think if I could do something physical on your voice, well, you don't have to be you. You can have somebody else if you want.
But it's always me. I always get picked out.
Well, I'll pick 2 people. We'll pick 2 people. Well, I'm just thinking, if you're actually going out there speaking,
I'm happy with it.
I would like to at least find out from you where your optimum speaking pitch is, because that would make an immediate difference to you. So I'm here to make, I mean, my background is 20 years on the stage, from the age of dot, really, on the stage, watching great performers in front of an audience. So there is something around that as well. You can ask me around reading the room or audiences as well if you want to. I don't mind being picked either, says Asana. We'll dive in. We'll do a little 10 minutes on a few people, and we'll cover things, as it were. Because what I can maybe start to help you shift is where you speak from and how you speak. And it's one of the things, if I was going to hand you a piece of music and say to you, right, lunchtime, let's go and sing this song in front of 20 people at a networking event, most people just absolute dire little death, freeze. And the first thing would go is, well, I don't know how to use my voice. I don't know how to sing properly. It's not going to work. But when it comes to speaking, it's so ingrained in us, like breathing. It's habitual, and we think we can't change anything, and we think that if any change happens, it's going to take a long time. Now, I work with everybody from people that have stammered all the way through to people that haven't got that and just want to kind of take their business and their influence to the next level and be kind of like the person other people pay attention to. So Steffi, I have, without kind of seeing you on a longer term basis, I'm going to have a little bit of an assessment of potentially what you're doing with your speaking voice, and I'll have a little listen to how you're breathing, how you're speaking right now, so that I can offer you at least some, like, put a sticking plaster on it for you to go and speak, if that makes sense. And when you are ready, if that's something that you want to explore at some point, it's just that there's a belief that I have to live with this. Well, if that was like diabetes or a bad back, you wouldn't live with that. You'd go do something about it. But when it comes to ourselves, we don't.
My voice has always been deep, but when I had my thyroid removed, my voice changed.
There we go. So absolutely, thyroid is linked right over the vocal folds. So there is definitely, and bringing your voice back, you would have definitely noticed a change in having your thyroid removed, because it actually is like you've got your thyroid and your vocal folds are sort of encased in the whole of that sort of larynx area. So it will make a difference. But I think we can have a little look. Obviously, a longer term look in terms of thyroid, that's different and long effects. But what was the biggest difference you noticed in your voice, Steffi?
Well, I used to be a singer in my younger days. Did your voice
go deeper, or what did you notice when you had your thyroid out in terms of your speaking ability?
I can't go high anymore. So when I've got the deep voice, yes, but when I try to go higher for singing, for example, my voice just stops.
Yep,
goes.
Okay. You might want to consider some help, because you can change it and you can improve things. Okay, you might want to consider it. That's not a sales pitch or anything, because you have a particular medical issue to go through. So we'll have a little look at that. Okay, once I've got some, I just want to kind of throw into here and then dive in, so I've got enough time to work with you all. So let me just go back here. Perfect English, tone of voice, so mate, Wi-Fi issues. Bethan, there you go. I just suddenly saw you. Hello. Sometimes I struggle with breathlessness. I feel that's with my nerves, don't breathe in the right spaces, and end up out at the end of my point. So you're running out at the end of your sentence, and so you kind of feel that you might be using energy, but you're running out of breath. Would that be fair to say? You get energetic, you're raising your energy for speaking, but you run out of breath.
Yeah, it's like, I feel like I'm maybe not taking, but I think because I'm nervous and all my muscles are so tense and my stomach is tense, I'm not breathing the way I normally would. And then instead of talking the way you would normally, where I'm chatting, breathing, I'm talking and I'm going, and it's like at the very end the volume disappears and I'm trying to get those last words squeaked out of my breath.
Yes, squeaking out the last words. Well, it used to cause, like, if you're speaking to the bitter end, it becomes bitter at the end, as it were. So we'll have a little look at that. Okay, I will make sure. And I used to sing in a band. Okay. Awesome. Look at these real practical things coming up. Did you ever even realize that you can do something about this? And some of these are not difficult things. Some of them are long-term decisions that you want to practice, i.e., I don't have a magic wand where today I'm going to say one thing and you magically are going to be different, because remember, everything that you do physically, you've probably habitually done for quite a while, correct? You just don't know it. We're going to highlight it today, and some things, if you can grab some, what I call fear is always handled with awareness and action. If you write nothing else, like there is Lorna, our best speaker in the room. Oh, she should do voice owners. Lorna, let me hear. Where's Lorna? Lorna, I'd love to hear your voice. But go on, Lorna, let's hear your voice.
Where is she?
Oh, she's gone shy, but it's a great picture. I love the picture on the front. So first of all, anything, fear, anything at all, learning is mastered with awareness and action. So awareness comes first, because we cannot, you know, if you've ever tried to take action on something that you don't know what to do with, that's where we just sort of hold back. We're not silly, you know, we class it as procrastination, but I call that fairly healthy procrastination. If we don't know what to do, we tend to hold back until we do. So we're looking at awareness first and then action. And so I'm just going to kind of, first of all, do just talk to you about a couple of things related to the topics that Cheryl put on the banner. Oh, that's fine. Don't worry. So I'm just going to kind of talk to you about what I call a little bit of theory, first of all, behind the scenes. I just want to set the scene, if that makes sense. It's a bit like going to the theatre, where you set the scene and then the characters come onto the show. So we're looking at exploring the power behind your voice, learning top vocal tips for online lives, discovering how to handle your inner critic. And I'm hearing a lot of people, few people feel as if they've got that preventing them, but a lot of people are quite confident, being vocally powerful and using your voice to achieve greater impact. So a very quick background for me, so that you know who I am. So I have been working with the voice as a specialist voice worker for over 14 years. My background is 20 years on the stage, and I never thought I'd do anything other than music, to be quite honest. For at least the first 3 years of my vocal coaching practice was solely musicians, until the first manager came to me and said, I've got a presentation to do for an interview to get a job, and I don't think I'm going to do very well, and I thought you might be able to help. So I saw him back in 2012. Back in 2019, when I first found LinkedIn, he put a recommendation on LinkedIn in 2019 because he had got the job. He wrote to me the very next day to say they said he had the best presentation of the day and gave him the job, and he's still there 9 years later. So I got very curious about the whole business of speaking as well as voice, and started to network. That's when I met the wonderful Cheryl all those many years ago with I Am Woman, and its early years, as it were, of inception. And it was a great ground for me to listen to other people and where they were in their communication and their speaking. That moved on until I started to do a lot more networking, working with lots of which you call more introverted experts on the male side of things, and women that wanted to really take their own personal brand to the next level with speaking. 2017, I started to do more corporate training, and that led right into Ministry of Defence, NHS managers to director, Caerphilly Council, lots of things to do with media training and quite high up leadership training. I was speaking for the HSBC about 1 week before we all got locked down and the world came to a grinding halt and you couldn't do anything voice at all. So that actually was a big game changer for me. And it gave me the opportunity as well to turn things more online and also form something called the Visible Club, which you can easily find out at just put thevisibleclub.com in, and you can find more details about that, where I really wanted to start to support solopreneurs around their communication, around their sales, around the ability to actually do this thing online as well as offline. So the journey evolves, as it were. So that's a little bit of background on me. So I have been listening to probably well over 1,200 voices to date since 2008. So I can listen to the tone of voice and hear exactly what's going on with people. I'm a little bit of a voice geek in that department. So that's a little bit of a background on me. So I hope you've got a pen and paper handy, because I've been a teacher for a long time. So I tend to fall into my teaching mode as well. But I want to give you a couple of these things, first of all, just to think about a bit of foundational stuff. And then also I want to dive in and do some hot seats on people's voices so you can hear what's possible. Okay. And you can put yourself forward. Don't be shy. Do you know what I mean? If you want to come out and feel different about your voice, we'll see how many people we can fit in. And if we can't fit any more in, we'll find a way of actually doing that afterwards. Come back and do another hot seat. So there's 5 I's that I tend to look at. When I thought about these 5 areas that Cheryl was talking about, she was talking about real 5 areas. So these are what I call your foundations, okay? And then we're going to talk about my top 10 tips, as it were, on going live, before we start to go into physical voice, as it were, and actually your personal stuff. So your physical voice and your presence is your essential you. It's your it will be recorded, Lucy. I'll try and I probably won't get to you, Lucy, in that way, but we'll see if we can find a way to do it. So your identity is your essential you, and the reason why we tend to feel so uncomfortable about physical voice is that it feels as if it's feeling uncomfortable about yourself. Some of the things I wrote down that some of you said to start with is, I've got a resting miserable face. My voice is shrill to me. I've got a masculine voice. So just the way that you are actually even describing your essential self, would you take your, if you've got kids or your best friend, would you describe them to their face as that? I doubt it. Doubt it. We are so used to self-judgment that it does not make it easy for people to seek real good professional help and development for what they're doing, because we've already hung, drawn and quartered ourselves and made a judgment about what we are before we start. So as a foundational thing, I want you to listen to yourself. This is what somebody said to me once when the question was asked, how should we listen to ourselves? And it was an 80-year-old psychologist who said, with the same respect that you would listen to everybody else with. And that is really essential to start with. Otherwise, we're going to always use our own judgment, self-judgment, as a means to continue to limit ourselves. So first of all, listen to your language to yourself. I kind of have a saying, be kind, but not the kind that leads to excuses. It's not about letting yourself off the hook so you don't get any better. It's that it's not the kind of language. And this was your language. That's why I asked you, because I knew. Here's your inner critic in the words that you say to yourself innocently without even realizing you're doing it. And then it's no wonder then if we get a criticism online, which you're going to get, the more you're hanging out visibly, the more people are going to take a pop at you sometimes. So we've got to develop some thick skin. And if you're miserable to your own self, you're already starting with, like a limp. So let's just kind of take a deep breath, first of all, and let that side of things go. Your essential nature, you can develop yourself, your voice, your business acumen, your skills, you can develop all of that. But be kind to the essential you of who you are, because that makes everything more possible. The essential you is priceless. But your optimum speaking pitch, your vocal habits, the things that block you, they're all conditioned. We've been brought up with those and we've just developed them. And sometimes we don't even realize that we've got them. So your voice is also your inspiration. So your voice is the vehicle for your truth to get out into the world. And whilst I know that there is a lot said online about content marketing and copywriting, and I've done a lot, I love copywriting, I love all of that stuff, but there is something powerful, and there will always be something more powerful, and it will actually turn, it's where the sales are ultimately. When you are showing up with your voice and your presence, because when they can see, feel, and sort of touch you ethereally, if not physically, that's where your opportunities lie, because that's where your relevance lies, your touch. Yeah, absolutely. That's where people can see, hear, and touch you. Now, if Dale Carnegie were alive, he would probably have a smartphone in his hand and be doing a podcast and a TikTok video, no doubt. You know, he may not be dancing, but he would certainly be using mediums of platforms that everything is now public speaking. Public speaking is not now just some big in-person live conference event, because that's all there used to be. So public speaking is everywhere. Your sales conversations, the way you lead those, the way you speak to people, networking, it's all public speaking. It's all public speaking, and it's all a vehicle for you to use your voice as an inspiration and as a vehicle for your truth, your message, and your services, and to get this, to share the story of why you're doing what you're doing. People will hear the passion in your voice. It's not about perfection. Okay, I don't deal with perfection. It's all about there's a passion in people's voices. What we want to do is make sure that people can breathe and get to the end of the sentences while they're passionate. You're doing this because of impact, okay? Impact is the next word. And it's around impact is about how you then articulate the value. So the pause, the pace, the meaning, the sentences, making it easy for the other person who's listening to you to be able to hear what you're saying to them first time. That's all part of speech. And we sometimes dismiss something, we don't even know sometimes, but we dismiss some of these things because we think it's the other person, or we'll go, they're not my type of client. You know, that kind of stuff. And I go, well, maybe, maybe not. But are we really communicating the value so that we actually are in a proper dialogue and communication around this? Because if we are, then we get the opportunity to influence. And influence is you deciding, who do I want this message that I'm speaking to serve? Who do I want this voice to influence? How do I want them to perceive the value of my work? My voice is the vehicle to do that. Then finally, we get the opportunity to illuminate. So we've got identity, inspire, impact, influence, and illuminate. And to me, illuminate is, I have never yet, once we've unlocked a voice or a person's true passion for what they're doing and why they start what they start, I've never yet seen them go dull. It's like the little light comes on in their face and they light up. It's like they start leading and speaking with their own light. And so illuminate is the only person that is going to give you permission is you. But you can use my permission today if you really need it to move forward with this, but you need give yourself the permission to take whatever is the next step for you. If it's you've never done a live and you put it all off and you just post, give yourself permission to do one in Cheryl's group. Find a safe space, first of all, to actually start sharing where you know you're going to get affirmed, and then little by little learning the skills to go out there. We don't want to throw somebody into the lion's den when they're not confident or comfortable with the message and the communication and the way that they're actually speaking. But start small, because all big trees start from a small acorn, as it were, or a small seed, but planted and consistently working at it, you do grow. So let's move straight into the top voice tips for going live, okay? So that was my foundational piece. And I hope like that's the bit, because if we don't understand that that's where the thinking is coming from, that, you know, every thought in your head about yourself is not to be believed. Just let that one land. You know, I've got a masculine voice. I've got this. Just don't believe that thought. It's not a truth. It's just a thought that you have hooked onto. And it's another opportunity to limit yourself. People love a high. I actually worked with somebody, for those of you who worry about having a deep voice, I had somebody who was paid £3,000 for 45-minute talks to banks. And she came to me because she said that her speaker agent was struggling to book her, because when she got quite animated through her talks, her voice went really high and squeaky, and they didn't like it. So it can work both ways. I'm not going to go onto the morality of whether bankers should be listening to women with high squeaky voices or not. That's not the issue, but it can happen both ways. So here we go. Put your 1 to 10 down. Here is your top 10 for going live. And several people mentioned breathing. So we'll get this breathing thing, breathing and counting. I'm going to tell you how to do it, and then we're all going to do a little exercise around it. Is that cool? Cool. So the first thing is I actually did put breathing and counting. So I actually put breathing and counting together, because if you've ever gone live and you've seen that 3, 2, 1, if you've seen the thing where it goes 3, 2, 1 live, and you don't know whether you're live or not, and it's that kind of moment, do you know what I mean? Everybody kind of hate that 3, 2, 1 bit. Well, 2 things around this actually is use that 3, 2, 1 to actually take your in-breath. What most people do is they hold their breath at that point, and as soon as you hold your breath, your heart rate's going to go up and your brain is going to go into fight or flight, because it doesn't know whether you are running away from an angry monster or whether you're trying to do a live. Your brain doesn't know the difference, does it? Just doesn't know the difference. Like all of you good coaches out there, it doesn't know the difference. So let's just actually I love doing what we call a bit of negative practice with people. I used to do this with singers all the time. So negative and positive practice, so that you can get, as I said, fear and everything is dealt with awareness and then action. So let's get some awareness first of all. I want you to, like, we haven't got the countdown here, but I want you to imagine on the screen it's a 3, 2, 1, or just count in your head 3, 2, 1, and then imagine this live, right? But we're going to do it in 2 ways. The first thing I want you to do is just hold your breath and just count and go almost in your head, am I live? Am I live? Am I live? Right? Or is anybody listening to me? But is that bit, it's like, am I live? Okay. So are you ready to kind of do your lovely visual imagination? But you're going to do it with your holding your breath. Okay. And then you're going to tell me, either put it in the chat or just unmute yourself. You're going to tell me how you feel. Has your heart rate gone up, or do you feel really relaxed at the end of it? So let's all do it. Let's imagine that it's a 3, 2, 1, live. And you've all held your breath. How did that feel? Did it feel comfortable or uncomfortable? I've got a couple of people going shaky heads, so I'm going to assume that's an uncomfortable. Okay.
Uncomfortable.
Cool. Because when you look at that 3, 2, 1, your brain has zipped forward to go, oh God, when am I live? But by holding your breath, you've turned your nervous system into fight or flight. So innocent, isn't it? And you're wondering then why you're feeling all kind of anxious. That's something very quick and easy to deal with. So what can we do instead when we've got that 3, 2, 1? And you know that bit where you go live and then you think it's live and then it goes, you are now live, and you've missed about 30 seconds, about 10 seconds of it. What I want you to do when you go live is, have you ever, you know, particularly now when most people listen back to us, I mean, this is such a wonderful crowd to have live, but when you're doing a video, how many of you watch a live video, or do you tend to sort of save it or look back when you've got a more convenient moment? Because they're not all convenient unless it's been really pre-advertised. Is that correct? Or if it's on, I love watching YouTube when I wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and I don't want to get up and do the dog, so I put my earphones in and turn on YouTube or something, you know, for an hour, and pretend that I don't have to get up. But when I'm listening, I'm often listening back to things, and so are most people. Yeah, I didn't mind at the start, but I know it's real. Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, brilliant. Now, Miriam, I'm going to deal the difference between being real and authentic, and being real and authentic, and being the person other people want to pay attention to. Now, I see that this is, you've jumped on my bugbear beautifully, right? You've jumped on my bugbear. I have no problem with people starting off and getting confident and competent. That's the first stage. We have to get competent about getting out there and doing lives and getting used to it. Does that make sense? We have to get competent at something, because that breeds your next level of confidence. Okay, you just get more confident doing it. You start to do it. Oksana, you said the same thing. I'm just more practicing. I'm getting more confident. When do you decide to take the leap to excellent? Excellent means that you can deliver it at a high standard, not perfect. Excellent means that you can deliver it at a high standard, better than other people in your industry, time and time again. And that does not mean inauthentic. It means it's more skillful, more stage savvy, more ability. The gurus, the ones you see that you think are doing it because they've got all the money, you don't need the money to do it. You need the commitment that you are going to learn to be excellent at this, so that people can pay attention to you over other people. It's very busy out there since the pandemic. By doing it more often, yes, and by taking some of these tips too, okay, because there is some small things. So we know, first of all, that we are not going to hold our breath before, well, we've got that 3, 2, 1, because it just kicks in your somatic nervous system, and before you know it, your heart is racing, your mind is racing, and you've gone 2 steps ahead of yourself. So you have to breathe while you've got that 3, 2, 1 on. So what happens at that beginning bit when you're not quite sure who's watching you or anything else? I want you to speak the title of what you're talking about and get on with it. How many times have you listened back to something? Now, unless it's somebody you love and you just want to encourage them, how many times have you listened back to something where they've been faffing around for 2 minutes going, is anybody here? Is anybody on? Oh, I'm just waiting for people to come on. And it's like, oh, for geez, I've got a life to live. People have a very short attention span. If you listen to copywriters, they say your headline buys you 5 seconds and your first couple of lines after that buy you the next 5 seconds. It's no difference with your videos. It's why they have engagement views of 10 seconds and beyond. It's because we all have the ability to do that now. So just simply state what you're going to talk about and get on with it. Really get on with it, because most people will not. You go, well, I don't want them to miss out. Look, if they really love it, the juice is in the content, and they will watch it and they will watch back. I'm thinking about, of all of the people who are going to watch your lives back afterwards, and you are going to get way more viewers if it's quite direct, if you tell them what they're going to get from the live, if you tell them what the topic is, and you go straight into it, because you've bought yourself your first 10 to 15 to 20 seconds, and you're more likely to have more continued viewing if you've done that. Just think about yourself. If you go on today, just find a few people to go on and watch lives for, and kind of see if you get slightly irritated at waiting 2 minutes for somebody to get on with it. That's not about not being real. That's thinking about your audience. It's thinking about their attention span. It's thinking about the time, and it's actually taking ownership and leadership of that journey that those people are going to have when they listen to you. This is the key to excellence in speaking. It's not about you. It's not about you. Business ultimately is not about you. You know, it's got to serve, it's got to pay you as well, but it's not about you. So breathing. So now what we're going to do is you're going to imagine that you've got 3, 2, 1, okay? And what I want you to do is, in your mind, as you see the 3, 2, 1, and you can all put yourself on mute here so you can all do it, which is brilliant. I want you to do that 3, 2, 1 in your mind, and I'll do it as if I'm kind of counting on here. And then I'm going to say the title of this thing, like we're going to talk about vocal confidence, okay? So I'm going to kind of just demo it. So we're going to imagine that 3, 2, 1 is where nobody's live, okay? Hello, my name's Angela Durrant, and today we're going to be talking about vocal confidence. Now, I breathed in as that 3, 2, 1 came in, and I spoke as soon as it went live, because you breathe in on your thinking breath and you breathe out and you talk on your out breath. Should we all have a go together? Whatever, it doesn't matter what you're going to talk about. You can say anything, okay? But you can say Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall if you want to, but let's all have a go together. I'm going to count you in 3, 2, 1. You're going to breathe in and you're going to speak almost immediately, like sort of like breathe and go. Okay, so here we go. 1. So wrong way round. 3, 2, 1, speak. Awesome. Somebody unmute and tell me, did that feel easier than holding your breath and worrying?
Much easier.
So simple. Okay. So simple, and yet straight away, so much more professional immediately when you do a live. Okay. Now, I know we've got some time, so I wanted to kind of give you something really practical on the live. Second thing is posture. If you're often doing lives, unless you're walking and doing one of those walkie-talkie things, as it were, you know, which are apparently very effective at the moment. Posture, use the edge of your chair. The thing is, we enter, as soon as we slump, if we're sitting down to speak, as soon as we slump, we actually just collapse the diaphragm. We put a lot of pressure on the vocal folds itself. We all suddenly sit up, marvelous. Edge of the chair, because your energy can kind of flow upward. Almost, it's that idea of just being upright. So the edge of your spine, where your spine actually has to support you. As soon as your spine is doing the supporting of you, you will find that you breathe deeper, you breathe more effectively, your mind is clear, and you just become more present immediately. Okay, second tip. Third tip, lighting. Okay. Now, I don't have anything fancy behind here today. I've just literally put a desk lamp behind. Natural light is great if you can actually have the natural light in front of you, and so that natural light is on your face. You'll all look as if you've had, you know, microdermabrasion immediately or something. You know, it'll be fantastic. If you are not in that situation, like I'm not, because the room that I'm in today has the morning sun, and then it kind of moves, it's not there. Right behind the computer screen, you can get everything from big light boxes to ring lights to, I've literally just put, deliberately to show you don't need any money for this, I've got a desk lamp. Okay, you can see it. I've got it right behind, I've angled it on me, and suddenly the light is on the face. So we haven't got kind of too much shadow on there. Microphones. If you find that you don't need one of those great big phallic microphones either, you can use your computer microphone. If you have got a microphone, you can get one quite cheaply for about 50, 60 quid on Amazon, things like a Blue Snowball, or Rhodes are more expensive if you want to do podcasting. But what you're wanting for your microphone is not the expense of the microphone. What you're wanting is the acoustic of the room. Now, I spent 4 years as a sound engineer, so I understand about acoustics, okay? So acoustics, that's okay, watch the rest of it, yes. So acoustics in the room, trying to get rid of this really, really quickly now. Acoustics are massive when you're doing audio or video, because what will happen is if you're in a room where there is lots of bounce back off the walls, as it were. Let's do this. Let's just get sound waves in a second, okay? So what I want you to do is, first of all, just hold your fist as you've got something, hold your fist and just sort of tap yourself, okay? How much noise is coming out from you? Not much, okay? Because all of the sound is being absorbed into soft surfaces, okay? So that's why when they're in recording studios, they have lots of things around the wall to absorb the sound from what we call a live sound, a live room to a dead room, because when it's dead, the sound goes straight through the microphone into the big recording desk, and then they can actually put all of their effects on it. So in a room where you've got curtains, carpets, etc., you are going to deaden the sound, which is brilliant for audio. You don't want all that bounce back and all of that echo. So just look at, if you are in a room where there's things, put maybe a towel even underneath the computer. Something that can't, because as soon as your sound leaves your mouth, it's going to reverberate across the rooms around you. And if that is lots of sound waves, kind of love hard surfaces, so it's going to bounce back and create a lot of echo. So if you've got something hard next to you, give it a tap, and notice, give you a tap, give it a tap, notice where the sound waves are coming, same fist. Sound waves love hard surfaces, so you want to create a soft surface so that any excess sound can be absorbed, so that your microphone can get the best, whether that's your computer microphone or one that you have in a lapel, etc. You won't hear this anywhere else because this is industry stuff, okay? That helpful? So that's why iPhones are pretty good. They're made pretty good for a lot of these things, but just look, if you're doing it at home, that's fine. I want to kind of get in. So microphone, backgrounds, just make sure you haven't got a palm tree coming out of your head or something really odd. Intonation. Intonation is just the up and down. I'm going to do that with a voice right now. Intonation. Keeping it bright, unless you're doing a meditation, because that just might really get everybody all worked up in the wrong way or something. Camera. Where are you looking? This is a big one for people, particularly with iPhones, okay? Now, I'm kind of looking at you here, so you can see my eye isn't looking at you. As soon as I look directly into the camera and speak to you, I can't see you. You're in my peripheral, but you can see me speaking directly at you, correct? Most people are doing their lives on their phone, etc., and they're looking at their beautiful selves. And so when somebody's looking back at your live video, all they're seeing is your eye off center. It's not looking at them, because wherever your actual camera bit is in the phone, you have to be looking at the camera bit, not your beautiful face when you're doing a sentence. So I see people kind of looking at off center, and they're smiling and they're talking to themselves, and they're all off center, and they've got the whole message going on. And it's like, you just talk to yourself for 3.5 minutes. So you have to look at where your camera green light is, and whether you're doing it landscape or portrait, you have got to look in the green light, which means you don't look at yourself while you're speaking. So try having a go at that, because that will make you look 10 times more professional immediately. I'm going to use the straw technique with somebody right now. I'm going to ask, I'm going to grab Steffi, okay? Steffi, I don't expect you to have a straw with you, but if you could get a piece of paper and roll it up into something resembling a straw, then I will show through Steffi the straw technique. But if you can get a straw before you go and speak, and you do exactly what I'm going to show you with Steffi in a moment, you will actually help your voice to, your breathing will get better, your voice will get out of constriction, and you'll find where your optimum speaking pitch starts to be, and some intonation. Watch what you eat and drink before you do a live. Goes without saying, fizzy drinks, burping all over your live, you know, or cheese or chocolate or a big sandwich, and then suddenly you're all mucusy and cloggy. Just, you know, just bear in mind what you eat and drink before you go live, and then your passion, pace and phrasing, so that as we did that beginning, start with that energy, keep it up all of the way through your live, unless you're doing a real sort of meditation, but have it in that. But keep that energy up all the way through your live. Those are my top tips. Does that make sense? Things that you won't hear from many sources, okay? Okay, Steffi, right. How quickly have you rolled that up? Really, really small. Perfect. Now, have you got something next to you, like a book or a magazine or something, that you've got a little paragraph? I just want you to read a little paragraph for me. So grab a book, open it up, or just something that's in front of you. Oh, we need something with a little paragraph rather. Actually, we could use that. Unless you've got a kind of book or a magazine.
Not near me, no.
Okay, we'll use that then. So what I want you to do, first of all, before you do it through your sort of made up straw, I want you to just read all of that out for me.
Okay. Makeup by Josh, beauty imperfection makeup artist. Makeup for any event, wedding, christening, mother of the bride, birthdays, night out, and many more. Makeup packages are available, and makeup trials are available too. Please contact me on 07735. I'm not going to give you his number.
That's absolutely fine. Okay, so the first thing that I noticed is when Steffi is speaking, it's a bit sort of like holding breath. There's a big breath in there, and then there's a bit of holding breath. What I want you to do is take this straw. I'm going to do it with a straw, with a large straw. And what I want you to do for me, I'll just do it with Humpty Dumpty's, because I haven't got your piece in front of me. I'm going to ask you to speak all of that through the straw. Okay, so. So you're going to wrap your little lips around your made up straw, and you're going to speak everything through the straw. So to you, it's going to feel really muffled, okay? But have a go and speak all the way through. Try not to cheat. People cheat. I don't know why they cheat, but they try and go Humpty Dumpty so they can hear themselves. But we don't want you to hear yourself. We want all of that sound to go through the straw. So can you read that again? And put the straw to your lips and read that whole thing all the way through again.
Okay. Makeup with Josh, beauty imperfection.
Okay, so hang on a minute, Steffi. Some of that sound is coming outside of your straw, so direct it. Keep your lips really
tight. Straw because it's not a straw. So
I know, but keep your lips really tight around it, and you'll have to articulate around it.
Makeup artist, beauty and perfection, makeup artist, makeup for any event, wedding, christening, birthday, or bride. That's my dog, sorry. Birthdays, night out, and many more. Makeup packages are available.
Now, did you notice, I don't know whether any of you noticed, it's a bit subtle, but Steffi's voice was a little higher through the straw than it is normally. Anybody else notice that? If you didn't, we'll get her to do it again. Does anybody else actually notice that? Heather's nodding her head. Okay, so can you do that again, Steffi? Because she was like, I know when I get somebody to do something, they don't realise what's going on. There's a not a buy-in in the brain. Okay, so let's do that again. Take your straw, wrap it all the way around, make sure every single sound. So you've got to use your lips, teeth, and tongue on the inside of that to really articulate it.
Makeup artist, beauty and perfection, makeup artist, makeup for any event, wedding, christening, was a bride and birthday, night out, and many more.
Yes, don't eat the paper. I know, don't eat the paper. It's like a McDonald's straw, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you noticed it. You would have noticed it. Hands up, anybody who noticed that even more that time. So when Steffi actually said, I've got a masculine voice, issued with the thyroid, I can't sing high, can't speak high. There's already her actual optimum speaking pitch is already higher. No doubt when she's had that operation or the issues around that, she's got used to accommodating and speaking lower, but it's actually not her real voice. Now, what she has to do to find that is use her mouth, lips, teeth, and tongue to really articulate. Her breathing was different. Her posture was different. You'd have noticed a lot more use of your body in the speaking. People don't use their whole selves in speaking. So what I want you to do for me is get used to that. See if you can do it again without eating the paper, okay? Do it one more time. And I want you this time, Steffi, to really think about where you feel that you are producing that sound. Where does it feel on the inside of you? What if you were to kind of have to create that sound again without the straw, which you're going to, where would you position it? Where would you feel it? Okay, so we want you to place your awareness now on inside yourself to where you're producing your sound through the straw for me. Okay. So do it with the straw once, because can you see it's like we're just not aware. We don't place that awareness on it and it's already changing the game. So do it one more time through the straw for me and really think about and feel and take your time to kind of go, where is that? Where do I feel that?
Makeup artist, beauty and perfection, makeup artist, makeup for any event, wedding, christening. I find that so uncomfortable.
I know you do. So
I don't find it comfortable, and personally, I find it really weird.
Okay. Now, what I want you to do for me, first of all, just bear with me, Steffi, is because you are not used, especially from what you've had in your operation, you're not used to using your voice in a different position. You've got like your larynx will tilt. Anybody that has to sing or speak high, the larynx actually tilts, so the vocal cords stretch to that. So you're not used to that. So there's a difference between pain and uncomfortable that we're not used to it. So if it's painful, absolutely not. But if it's just uncomfortable, and of course you're doing it through paper rather than natural straw, there's a difference. Just know the difference, because how much we reject anything that feels unusual or uncomfortable to us, that sometimes is more effective. All I want you to do is imagine that position now and just speak that phrase without the straw and just see if you can match some of the tones that you felt that you experienced.
I don't know if I'm getting this right, but I'll try.
There's no right or wrong. Have a go.
Makeup by Josh, beauty imperfection makeup artist. Makeup for any event, wedding, christening, mother of the bride, birthdays and nights out, and many more. Makeup packages are available. Makeup trials are available. Please contact Josh on 07735.
So first of all, I'm not going to talk to her. You talk to her. You tell her what you experienced in the voice, how much it was easier to understand her if it was. What did you notice the difference? You're her peers. She was skeptical. She felt it was uncomfortable. You feed back to her.
I immediately heard you lift your voice and also start, it's almost like as though you were thinking about each of those sentences and treating them with some sort of vocal flex.
I felt it was definitely higher and softer. There was softness to your voice, definitely.
I don't shout no more.
The position, now I'm not saying it's going to be comfortable for Steph. Steffi's got, that's why it's like, I like a tricky subject, do you know what I mean? And I love it when people go, that's uncomfortable. I love that. I haven't got an issue with that because I don't need to be right. Does that make sense? The proof is
I only mean uncomfortable because of the paper.
Yeah.
It feels uncomfortable.
Of
It's like
course it
literally stuck to your, you know.
Of course, because it's paper. But that larynx needs to tilt, that change needs to happen now. Everything that you noticed in Steffi, and she's got more problems than most of you because of the actual thyroid issue. So if we can make that much of a difference to Steffi in a couple of minutes. Now, what Steffi would have to do, if she wants to actually make that more comfortable, and she wants to feel more, articulate with it, or go down that road, she can start to take the skill learning journey. Muscle habits, like if we've been in a muscle habit, it's like if you sit limped for a long time, you're going to be slumped in that direction. There's a little bit of work to do to pull you across so that you are doing that new habit all of the time. But it doesn't take months and it doesn't take years. And if we can do that for Steffi, what is possible for each of you if you wake up to the amazing voice that you actually have. And there's some science behind the straw technique, by the way. There's lots of science behind how the breath works and how the voice works and how constriction works. But that is really quick. So I would love to just open it up to the floor for anything that has been helpful to you or any questions around that. I've got lots of little things going on in the chat that I can have a look at as well. But talk to me, people, talk to me.
I found that straw technique really quite fascinating. I mean, it was really, the difference was just so apparent straight away. So yeah, that's quite interesting for sure.
So you can do the thing behind it, they're called semi-occlusive vocal tract exercises. So there's quite a long sort of like spiel behind that. They create a back pressure. They create a perfect environment for you to actually start using your whole body and your whole mechanism in a much more efficient manner. We use it with all singers, many singers. It's a really recognized technique for singers. Speakers, people don't really talk about this with speakers because most public speaking training does not major on voice because there's not necessarily a voice specialism to it, which is why I want to bring it to it at the same time as well as getting the message right. But there is so much there's some things. I mean, I will, if it's Cheryl, is it okay to share a couple of things that I do with people that they can hook onto if they want to? So I work one-to-one with people on that. So if somebody wants specific voice work, then I do a 6-week sort of personal impact program where we look at voice presence and physical voice and all of that area. That's 6 weeks. And I'm actually looking at putting a group. I've done it before, but not since 2019, where I did a small group together. And in that, we also write a talk, a sort of takeaway talk that you can do at networking, and then we deliver it as well. So if that's of interest to you, I will put my email.
I tell you what we can do as well. I've added Angela into the Academy group.
Oops.
Angela can go in there and put everything. Perhaps you want to add more details, or perhaps
yes, I can do. I can put a few things if that's okay, Cheryl. Then I can just give people in. But you can always just pop me a quick message, and you can always, if you just pop me a quick email and just say more info, then I can just send you loads more info of different things that you can do. There's stuff to suit all budgets. Depending on what you want to do going forward. But yeah, just throw me open. Another little. Honestly, Google SOVTE. Yeah, if anyone is skeptical, yeah, there's actually great resources about it. It's a really recognized technique. Any other questions or comments on either of the things, even on the breathing, the counting, the microphone acoustics, anything? Any questions before we go? Before Cheryl chops us off at the legs to finish.
What I would propose, Angela, because we've only got 1 minute, I'd like to bring it to a close.
Go for it.
so that we can thank you, because I really would like to endorse, you know, how amazing Angela is, because I had a stammer and I was always afraid this stammer was going to come out when I was doing professional speaking, and Angela gave me so much confidence in my session that I had with her. And I can remember going to the NEC and winning Speaker of the Year for 2012, and I can remember looking up at the sky thinking, you're having a laugh here. Apart from the fact as well, I had a leg problem going on and I was on crutches, and they had to actually come and collect me from the audience to take me up to the stage to be given the prize. So to go from somebody who wasn't vocally confident to have some great coaching from Angela to actually win Speaker of the Year in the NEC, that was a UK-wide vote for the Speaker and Trainer of the Year, to go from zero to almost like hero with some expertise and coaching from Angela was absolutely fantastic. So I can't endorse Angela enough. So if you would like to follow up with Angela, as I said, she's in the Academy group. She's already in there, so she can pick up whether it's questions, and Angela can post in there some tips, and she can also post in there perhaps any lives she wants to share with you, or some events she's got coming up. I just want to check in with everyone before we let Angela go, because I know I've learned so much today. I've got loads of notes, so I'd love your feedback on what you're going to do with it. So over to you, Lorna, because I know you came in late. What have you learned and what are you going to do?
Well, hello. Already I've got my gold straw.
Gold-plated straw, even better.
Well, this is it. I love learning new things. I really do. And I'm quite excited about this because, like so many of you, what a difference we saw in Steffi. Wow. So that's what I'm going, well, I'm learning, and I'm going to learn with the straw. So thank you, Angela. I love it.
Will. I'll post them. There's some great videos around how to use the straw technique as well. So I will post them in the group. They are great resources and super, super helpful if you struggle and want to sort of get more flexibility with your voice.
Yeah, no, this is an exciting start to the week. Learning something new. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Lorna. Miriam, what have you learned? What are you going to put into action?
Hello there. Thank you so much, Angela. I think for me, because I went to drama school, I studied acting, so we did an awful lot of voice technique and breathing and how to sit properly and everything. But it's just brought it back to the surface again for me, and it's made me, there's a really, really wonderful book, and I can't remember who it's by, but a voice coach who works with BRSC.
I'm gonna have to speak you up.
Oh, sorry. Anyway, I'm gonna go back to it because it was really great. Thank you.
There's a great one called Power Presentation by Patsy Rodenberg.
That's the one. Yeah.
There you go.
Thank you.
And you, Bethan, I know you've worked with Angela yourself before. So what have you learned this morning, and how are you going to put it into practice?
Well,
Angela and I, we did a one-to-one, and we chatted, and it sounded great, but to see you in action is a whole different thing. Similar to Miriam, I had drama background. I used to do singing lessons, and I'm just a little bit mind blown because all of these principles I would put into my singing voice for years and never once considered that that's something that could be implemented to speaking. It seems so obvious now, but I'm kind of having a blast from the past, and I'm definitely not going to be hitting myself in a book with a book in the stomach like my singing teacher used to do. Maybe not that extreme, but I will take some of the old exercises that I used to do as a kid and or a teenager and kind of put them forward now and practicing for presenting.
Brilliant.
Thank you. And Louise, we haven't heard much from you this morning. So what have you learned from this session, and how are you going to put it to work?
Good morning. Yeah, my voice is tired actually. That's why I haven't been speaking today. I spend a lot of time online teaching. I've got a training company online, and I find my voice is tired because I do a lot of speaking. One of my students is a professional singing teacher, and he told me to get vocal straws ages ago. And I've just been hunting for the link he sent me to order them from Amazon, so I can have a go. So thank you for the reminder, and I'll
that's fine.
Up to you as well.
the vocal straws, you can get them in various thicknesses, but you know, don't let that stop you. Literally get a McDonald's straw if you have to. Do you know what I mean? You know, it's that easy, you know.
Thank you.
Thank you. Carly, I know you're going to start doing Facebook Lives more because you've got a new collection you're launching, a new brand you're launching. So tell us what you've learned this morning and how you're going to put it into practice.
Well, sorry, as you've probably been aware, I've been in and out of this, and I'm sorry about that, everybody, but my staff, a lady who's supposed to help me in the shop today, was poorly, so I ended up being in the shop again. So I've been in and out, but I think for me, the quote right at the beginning, the fear is mastered with awareness and action. That is huge, because I am absolutely frightened to death of public speaking. Cheryl has already got me involved in public speaking with the I Am Woman Academy, so I can practice. And my lives still terrify me, but I know that the business I'm in, I need to do lives to make a difference to my business.
Thank you, Carly. And Yvonne, so how are you going to control this face now that you know it's so important?
Well, I quite like the 3-2-1 bit about just using that breath and getting straight in with your name and your topic.
No, just your topic, if people know. Do you know what I mean? Just your whatever it is, you just get straight in. Don't give your brain a chance to think about it.
Lovely. So can't thank you enough, Angela, and it's going to be
pleasure
with you on the group, and we can keep the discussion going. So everyone drop into the Academy page and start picking up these resources from Angela. Next week, we have the amazing Bethan talking to us about streaming, so using StreamYard. So I can't wait for this session, because I realized I've had an account for years and I've never actually used it. I probably thought, yeah, I've got to have this, had an account, and I've done nothing with it. So can't wait till next Monday. So again, thank you, Angela. Can we give Angela a virtual round of applause?
My pleasure. I shall drop out and let you all carry on. It's been a pleasure to meet you all. Take care, everyone. Bye.
Look forward to seeing everyone next week. So see you all then. Okay, cheerio. 11 o'clock next Monday. Bye.
Bye.